There is a revolution happening in medicine right now, and it's not some far-off theory. It comes in a weekly injection. These new weight loss drugs, they're giving people results that, until recently, you could pretty much only get through major surgery. But like with any revolution, we've got to ask some really tough new questions. And that brings us to the big one. We know drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy are absolutely changing lives for the better. I mean, it's incredible. But is there a hidden cost? In this huge push to lose fat, are we maybe, just maybe, losing something else? Something we desperately need? Our muscle, our strength. Are we trading fat for frailty? All right, so first, let's just get this out of the way. These new drugs are a genuine, massive breakthrough. We're talking about a whole class of medications called GLP-1 agonists, and they really do represent a totally new era in how we manage obesity. And when I say massive, I'm talking about sheer power. These therapies are without a doubt the most potent anti-obesity agents we have. The effects are so strong that some research literally compares them to bariatric surgery. For so many people, the weight loss is fast, it's impressive, and it is truly life-changing. But that speed, that rapid, impressive weight loss, that's exactly where this new concern pops up. Because when your body loses weight that quickly, it doesn't just burn fat. You lose lean mass too. And that brings us to a really crucial scientific term you're going to hear a lot about: sarcopenia. So what on earth is sarcopenia? Well, it's the official term for losing your skeletal muscle mass and your strength. It's something we usually talk about with aging, right? It's the main reason people can become frail as they get older. And the fear, the real worry here, is that these incredibly powerful drugs might actually be speeding that process up. And that really gets to the core of the issue. See, when we talk about losing weight, what we really want, the goal, is to lose fat mass. That's the desirable stuff to get rid of. The problem is that a pretty significant chunk of the weight that comes off with these drugs can be skeletal muscle. And that is the undesirable loss that has so many in the scientific community pretty worried. And look, this isn't just some fringe idea. This is a real, active debate. A recent scientific review actually called the risk of sarcopenia a potential major challenge for the entire field. That tells you just how seriously scientists and doctors are taking this conversation. So this all builds up to what I think is a fascinating paradox. It turns out the very same people who have the most to gain from these drugs might also be the most vulnerable to their biggest potential downside. Okay, check this out. On one hand, we have clinical trials showing that these GLP-1s have huge benefits for patients with really serious conditions: heart failure, kidney disease, cardiovascular disease. That's amazing news. But, and here's the paradox, those exact same conditions already put people at a higher risk for sarcopenia to begin with. So the question is, are the drugs helping fix one big problem while potentially making another one worse? It's a real head-scratcher. This is the point where we just have to stop and ask, okay, what does the evidence actually show? The concern is totally real. The paradox is clear. But is there any hard data to back it all up? Let's go digging. And a logical place to start is with older adults, right? I mean, this is a group we all know is already at a higher risk for losing muscle and becoming frail. So if there's a problem, you'd think we'd see the signal loud and clear right here. Well, here's the twist. The research says, despite all the chatter and concern, for older adults, hard data remains scarce. There just haven't been any dedicated controlled trials looking at this. So right now, there's no solid evidence-based proof of a significantly increased risk. The worry is there, but the proof, it's missing. Okay, so what about patients with type 2 diabetes? I mean, these drugs were originally made for them. There is a mountain of data here. Surely we're going to find a clear signal in all that research. And we do find a number, but it's probably not what you'd expect. A huge meta-analysis, one that looked at 24 different studies, found that patients on these drugs lost, on average, just 0.74 kilograms of skeletal muscle. But here's the really crucial part. That finding was not statistically significant. So, yeah, a little bit of muscle is lost, but it wasn't enough to be considered a significant effect across the board. So what's left? Let's go back to those other high-risk groups we mentioned, people with heart failure or chronic kidney or liver disease. Is the smoking gun hiding there? And you're probably sensing the pattern by now. It's the same story all over again. The scientific journals are filled with papers talking about the potential risk, urging doctors to be careful with these patients. But when you actually look for the studies, the ones that measured muscle loss in these specific groups, They're just not there yet. We've got a lot of theory, but very little hard data. So, where does all this leave us? We've got this revolutionary treatment with incredible benefits and this very serious, totally plausible risk that's so far unproven. And that brings us to the most important question. What do we do now? What's the road ahead? Well, the path forward seems to have three pretty clear steps. First, for the researchers, we absolutely need studies that specifically track muscle mass in these high-risk groups. Let's get some real data and turn all this theory into fact. Second, for doctors, they can be proactive. They can monitor their patients and really hammer home how critical protein and resistance exercise are. And finally, for patients, you can be your own best advocate. Being aware, focusing on great nutrition, and staying active, that can help your body hold on to that crucial muscle while the fat melts away. So what's the bottom line here? Well, based on the mountain of evidence for all the good these drugs do for your heart and metabolism, the overall benefit-risk balance looks positive for most people. The key is just to be smart about it and to be extra cautious with patients who are already frail and older. And that leaves us with one last big picture question to think about. These drugs are an amazing, powerful new tool in our toolkit. They are helping us win the battle against obesity. But the challenge for all of us now is to make sure that as we're losing weight, we are truly gaining health in all its forms. Not just a number on a scale, but real strength, real vitality, and resilience for all the years to come.